let's talk Kyle Shanahan. The Niners won this game in spite of him. Let's talk about his game plan today. He has Jordan Mason, who's having a great season, fresh off a bye week, and says, I'm going to give you one carry. And he gains 5 yards. And he's like, you know what? I don't like the way you gained 5 yards on that play. It wasn't quite to my taste. The manner in which you gained those 5 yards. So get the hell off the field. Get off my field gaining 5 yards on a run. Who do you think you are? We want Christian in there so we can gain 3. It seems like having Christian and Jordan Mason is a great problem to have. And especially in a game where Christian McCaffrey is clearly rusty and not quite himself. He said so himself. Like, why don't you give the Bucs a different look? They don't want Jordan Mason to get the ball. He's a load. And so you did him a favor. So the game plan was bury Jordan Mason, one of the best weapons in the league. Cool. Force feed the ball to a guy who's not even in football game shape yet. Cool. Consistently call passes in front of the sticks on third down, third and long. Cool. Do nothing different in the red zone. Run between the tackles, throw low percentage passes on when you're behind the chains. Cool. Play for field goal. So like end of the first half, it's a close game. Brock Purdy, who made play after play like this in the game, drops back and hits Juwan Jennings for about 30. About a minute left in the first half. Niners have all 3 of their timeouts. This is a great spot to call timeout, let the offense regroup, and go get that touchdown. Take some shots. Whatever you got a minute left, 3 timeouts, call one of them, and then find your best play. What does Kyle do? Not call a timeout, lets the clock run. They go up to the line of scrimmage, and Brock Purdy has to like dive and throw the ball at someone's feet to avoid getting sacked. Sweet. Then so they're essentially playing for a field goal. Why? Worst case scenario, you kick a field goal with like 40 seconds left, give the ball back to Tampa, who can't move the ball quickly. Like they for them to get the ball down the field, it's like 4 yards, 1 yard, automatic first down with a penalty. It was the slowest, most plodding offense ever because they don't have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And Kyle's worried about giving them the ball back at the end of the first half. So he runs the clock down on himself and then sets up a long field goal for Jake Moody, which he misses. What the hell is that? So the game plan stunk. The game management stunk. He didn't notice his players getting into a fight or do anything about it. Stunk. He's lucky he has Brock Purdy, man. He is so lucky he has Brock Purdy. Because there's a world where his starting quarterback is either Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo or Sam Darnold. Those were the guys that he brought into this organization. Trey Lance is, I don't know what he's doing right now. He's sticking it up against, he's playing tonight? What is probably awful. Jimmy Garoppolo, no one wants to see him play football ever again. And Sam Darnold is in the process of turning back into Sam Darnold in Minnesota. We all saw it coming. Those could have been the Niners starting quarterback. Instead, they have Brock Purdy, who is damn good. And Kyle had no idea. When they drafted Brock Purdy, as he's walking out the room, Kyle Shanahan turns back to, I believe it was Matt Mayoka, who said, who does this guy remind you of? And he goes, Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins? No, he's like Baker Mayfield. Now, Baker has definitely a stronger arm. He has more zip on his passes. There's a difference, but is Baker a better quarterback than Brock Purdy? No, I don't think so. I'd say they're in the same tier. And I don't know, Purdy might be even better. So Kyle Shanahan is lucky that he has this franchise savior that he didn't see the talent in. And even with Purdy playing really well today, like, did Kyle help him at all? Or were Purdy's best plays in spite of Kyle? Like, oh, your play didn't work. Let me scramble around and run to my left and hit this incredible throw to Kittle. Or the defense blitzed again and we didn't pick it up like we haven't all year. And I'll just throw the ball to a receiver who isn't looking and I'll take a huge hit and it'll be completed. Kyle Shanahan, man, his offense cannot pick up a blitz. Like, what he wants to do is put everyone out into the pattern, all 5 receivers, And if the opposing defense rushes one more defensive player than the Niners can block, Kyle Shanahan wants Brock Purdy to throw to a hot receiver, someone who's aware that the blitz is coming from their side and then breaks off their route to something shorter, and he's on the same page with Brock. It's like, yeah, that works sometimes. But as Tom Brady was talking about on the telecast today, when he was a quarterback in the NFL, he didn't really like to have hot throws against blitzes in critical situations because so much can go wrong. I had to sing that one. So much can go wrong. Like the wide receiver and the quarterback have to read it the same way at the same time. And if there's a miscommunication, which happens all the time on the 49ers, then it's incomplete or intercepted. I was going to say or worse, but I don't think there's anything worse than a turnover. So it's incomplete. It's intercepted. Other ways you can beat a blitz. Block it. If they're rushing 6, block with 7. If they're rushing 7, block with 8. That actually gives the quarterback some time and the receivers some time to get open, to run a route. There are other ways to defeat blitzes. The one way that Kyle Shanahan is familiar with, is comfortable with, isn't working, and he's not adjusting. And again, did the mere return of Christian McCaffrey fix it? No. And I think that's interesting. Maybe in the future he will, but I don't think that this team, they don't deserve Christian McCaffrey they don't deserve a savior, a one-player savior. Hey, we've been an inconsistent, dysfunctional mess all year. One of the more underperforming teams in the league. One guy's going to come back and we're going to flip the switch and be tight-knit and professional. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. The Niners have big problems stemming from this guy, Kyle Shanahan, and they're bigger than one man can fix. So Kyle has to fix it. It's not on Brock. Brock isn't going to fix the special teams. Debo's not going to fix the special teams. It's going to be Kyle, or he won't. I think people are starting to understand that this season is a referendum on Kyle. If they don't make the playoffs, it's going to be about Kyle, not about Brock. It's going to be about Kyle, not about McCaffrey. The question is going to be, how in the world did a team this talented not make the playoffs? Now, I don't want to go, they've won 2 games in a row. Great. But Arizona's killing. They're still in a hole. They got Seattle next week. They should win that game. Then Green Bay, Buffalo, back-to-back. Those are a couple losses. If they play like they did in this game. Am I missing something from Kyle? Am I not does he deserve credit for something in this game that I didn't give him credit for? I'd like to know. Because it feels like the Niners won in spite of him, in spite of his special teams, in spite of his offensive scheme, in spite of his answers for the blitz, in spite of his red zone offense, in spite of his complete blinders when it comes to fights on his own sideline. I think they won in spite of him. Tony G says, telling me Niners still can't score even with CMC. I am telling you that. Fish and Chip says all the Kyle Shanahan traits was on view in this game. They were. Saturn990 says Jake Moody hugging the upright every time is just one of many details lacking. There is almost nothing they do well and nothing can ever be easy. That's the 2024 Niners story. Tony G says 97 getting handled by Wirfs and back up until fourth quarter. Justin School was working Nick Bosa. What happened to Nick? Guy can't make a tackle. He couldn't even drag down Baker Mayfield with the game on the line. I didn't really get into the defense, but you couldn't stop Bucky Irving. You had like 17 penalties on the final drive. My goodness. When was the last time Debo stock was up? Trade Lyle, Dave Barclay. Years ago. Dave Barclay, Lyle is not smart, does not play the best players ever. Fish and Chips, reality, 6 field goal attempts, 6 failed offensive drives. Yikes. Michael McCann. Let's talk about Debo getting physical with Moody and the long snapper on the sideline after that third miss. Do you see any disciplinary action taken? No, because Kyle loves Debo and he plays favorites. Easy Tino says Mason is at the end of his 3-year deal. Now, do you see what Kyle is doing? Kyle is purposely not playing Jordan no matter what Kyle says. You said it, not me. But the guy's going to be a restricted free agent. And if he's got like 1,800 yards and 10 touchdowns, then the Niners aren't re-signing him. But if they bury him and he finishes the year with like 600 yards and 3 touchdowns, then the Niners just might be able to keep him. Restricted free agent. Something to that. Joseph for real says, I love when you speak with your chest. Yeah. You say my name so eloquently. Joseph for real. For real, for real. Deliver Shanny's ruin incredibly and your awareness simply as handsome as you are. Man, that is so nice. It's about time someone acknowledges how handsome I am. And I really want it to be Joseph for real because you're a handsome guy too. And handsome recognizes handsome. Game recognized game. Simply, okay, this team would be in complete shambles without quality control. Well, I appreciate that, but the team is in shambles and I blame myself. That's leadership. I blame myself. It's my fault. Do better, Grant. All right, I'm going to wrap this one up. Let me see what's going on in the rest of the league. Curious. What happened today? Panthers won. They beat the Giants. Nice, Giants. Patriots beat the Bears. That's another team the Niners should beat. The 4-5 Bears. They freaking stink. Bills beat the Colts. They're 8-2. That's probably a loss. Vikings beat the Jaguars by 5, scored 12. Chiefs. It's funny. The Chiefs squeak out unimpressive wins, and you're like, oh, we can't really say anything to them because they haven't lost in a year and they've won 2 Super Bowls in a row. So the Niners, how they win matters. How the Chiefs win never, ever matters. Saints beat the Falcons. That's embarrassing, Atlanta. Chargers won again, of course, Jim Harbaugh. Steelers. Wow. Beat the Commanders. Steelers are pretty freaking good. Russell Wilson. What a story. Cardinals destroying the Jets. That's bad news for the Niners. Cardinals remain in first place. Eagles stomping the Cowboys. Let's look at the conference standings. Where do the Niners stand? They're now the 8th seed, 5-4. Rams play tomorrow, Monday, if you're watching this on Monday. Green Bay, 7th seed. Washington, 6th seed. Minnesota, 5th seed. Minnesota, 7-2. Washington, 7-3. Green Bay, 6-3. Niners, 5-4. They're right in it. So they could win the division. They're a game out of that. They're a game out of the they're half a game behind Arizona. Game behind Green Bay. They're in the thick of things. They just need to, improve their special team so it goes from being the absolute worst unit you've ever seen in the history of football to passable. And then Kyle Shanahan has to get some creativity, which I thought he used to have. Or was it his assistant coaches? I don't know. Everyone says he's a genius or he's really smart and really creative. So it's about time. It's November 10th. I think it's time for him to show it. Coming off a bye week. Let's see it, Kyle. We all believe in you. Psych. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Shady Luke says Eagles defense is young and hungry. They got Cooper DeJean, good player. But Niners got Ricky Pearsall, good player. I can't be mad. All right, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you. I will be back tomorrow on YouTube and just in general. Moodied. Do you think that's what Debo said to him? Hey, Moody, quit moodying.